Today, we're going to dive into getting to know your customers at a level that's super important when it comes down to you having to ever spend any money to generate additional customers. And it's also super helpful when you get down to your messaging, because knowing your customers and knowing your community, meaning potential new customers, is really something that is the lifeline of your business. And if you're not getting this right and you don't have a certain number of things in place, you're going to underdeliver here or maybe completely fail. So I'm going to cover everything that we need to cover in this video. Now, I'm not going to ask you to take a bunch of notes. This is stuff that might be really new to you. Instead, just go ahead now, send it down in the comments, and I'll get you a PDF. It's part of my entire playbook for 2025 to help breweries succeed and go forward and make 2025 the best year ever. So do that, send it down there in the comments. And what we're going to be doing is covering two halves of this. One thing you need to understand is your community as a whole, and the other thing you need to understand is your customer base, and really have some granular, important information in both of those. And once you do this, this information will allow you to succeed in places that other breweries just are failing. Okay, let's dive into things. First thing you want to do is get a general idea of the community you're doing business with. Now, there's lots of different ways you can get this data. There's information you get from the Census. You can go to the U.S. Census Bureau's website. Just Google that. Everything on there is free. They give you a lot of detailed population statistics, including things like age and income, ethnicity, education, household size, and a lot more. It's great to spend 15 or 20 minutes on this once while you're doing business to get a sense of your community. I've done that, and there's always a couple of things that you're going to go, that's really interesting. It's going to kind of open some things up. Additionally, you should have some resources, some local government websites. Check your city, county, town websites for some demographic reports, as well as some economic profiles and some planning documents. And what you're going to start to put together is some demographics, which I think you know. Demographics are, age, income, things like that. And psychographics are tied to things people do. That concept of birds of a feather flock together is all tied to psychographics. That's why it's important to have both of those things. So you've got the census, and what we just talked about is local government. In addition to that, get in contact with and get details and information from your local chamber of commerce. They've got tons of stuff. Now, if you've done those three things and you feel like you're kind of missing, you don't get a real good sense of your community as a whole, there's places you can use businesses that are data aggregation sites like city-data.com. Another's Neighborhood Scout. There's Esri's zip code lookup. These folks give a lot of insight, and it's worth taking a poke around. The fifth option you have is you're kind of looking to get the demographics and the psychographics of the community you're doing business in, is your library resources. Go there. You can get stuff from Demographics Now, Reference USA, Statista, are all situations, and also talk with your librarian. Mention what you're trying to do. You want to get a great sense of the community as a whole. That's how you get the demographics of your community that you're doing business with. Now let's talk about some psychographics. There are lifestyle and interest studies that you can tap into. Companies like Nielsen's offers that type of information. You can also take a look at your social media listing. Search for city or town specific hashtags on places like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and you're going to get a sense of popular activities, concerns in the marketplace, as well as you get a sense of a community's values. Next, you want to kind of think about looking what type of community events are happening in your town or city. These local festivals and markets, they're great ways to not just network, not just obviously promote your business, but also kind of get a sense of what the community is as a whole. Also, peruse and look through local media, local newspapers, local magazines, blogs, get a sense of what's really resonating with residents. And Other thing you can do, of course, a lot will depend on how big the city or town you're working in, but also take a look at Google Trends. And why you want to have a real good sense about your community's psychographics are your messaging needs to resonate with folks. Is it a very conservative, white collar community you're doing business with? Is it a very liberal? Is it a blue collar community? How do things mix and match in this community? It's really important for you to understand that because you're going to tailor messaging towards that. And remember, we're getting a sense of the community, and then we'll take a look at what your customer base looks like. Depending on how deep you want to kind of dive into this, I don't necessarily think that this is critical, but if it's something that you're finding maybe the pieces aren't lining up or you're not getting enough data, look at some mapping situations. You can look at Esri's ArcGIS or Tableau, which allow you to create a visual demographic of the data in your marketplace. Sometimes it gives you a clearer picture, a clearer understanding. I used to work with a company years and years ago who were on the cutting edge of this, a company called Claritas. And we used to do that for a lot of different clients, and they really found that helpful. Other kind of tools and things, if you're using something like SemiRush or SimilarWeb on your website, you can get a lot of ideas and a lot of information based on the web traffic to your website. Last but definitely not least, as it comes to getting a sense about your community, do some field research. First of all, if you haven't done so, maybe you don't live in this community where your brewery is, get out and walk around. Visit local businesses, go to parks and different public spaces. Get a sense of who folks are, what they're doing, what their activities are. Talk with folks when you're out there. See if you can run into and get to know some long-term residents. Talk to business owners who've been there for a long time. Even local public officials can all give you some insight into community characteristics. And you can also do some survey with local residents. Folks love businesses. This is great, especially if you're new. Put something online and a little simple survey. I'm new to the area. Tell me some things about it. You can find local online groups. See what types of churches and schools, what the library, the gathering things. These are all different ways because you want to have a clear picture of, think about if you were fishing and you want to know what the pond that you've reached, what type of fish are in there. I mean, if it's, and I'm not a fisherman, so I'm going way over my head here, but I would suppose nobody would want to catch, I think, a sunny, but if you did want to catch sunnies, it's a different type of thing than if you're going for, let's say, a big mouth bass. So you want to, number one, have a great idea of the community you're doing business with, and that gives you a sense of how many folks potentially can be customers for you. And now we know the community. Let's dive into taking a look at the customers who come into your business. Just like the community, we start with demographics. Who are your customers? I think it's a great thing to do is a quick survey. Ask folks. I mean, you can make general decisions based on age. You can also get a sense of gender real easy. But things like income, education, occupation, where they actually live are all things that can be super valuable for you if and when you decide to start spending some money on advertising. And you can do this with simple surveys or questionnaires. You can offer incentives to get folks to do it. Doesn't need to be every day of the year type of thing all day long, but it's something you should do. Next way to kind of get a sense who your customers are, use social media insights. The big social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, they all have different analytic tools. Use those things and look at it. And as you're gathering this information, I think you're starting to see we're going to want to compare it with the community as a whole. Also, your website should have some Google Analytics tied into it. Google Analytics is a super powerful free tool, and it can give you an idea of age, gender, location, even the devices they use. Depending on the type of POS and different back-end software that you use, you can get a lot of information analyzing sales records and customer profiles to spot certain patterns and indices. So if that's available to you, tap into it and use it. And as you gather all those things, you want to kind of compare them against the local market data that we got about the community at large. At this point, doing your research, you should have a real good idea from a demographic standpoint. Does my customer base mirror the community at large? Is my customer base an outlier, or is it somewhere in between? Now let's take a look at the psychographics of your customers. I mean, you really want to learn, why are your customers buying from you? I strongly recommend talking with your customers on a regular basis. It builds a connection with you and them, but you can also get valuable information. Get an idea from those loyal customers why they buy from you. What is it they value about you? What problems do they need solved? Where are you succeeding and where are you falling? I've got a great video about multiple ways that we use this in marketing message. I'm going to put that video right here. You can take a look at that. I think it's a strong video to help you understand how to message to these people. Because at the end of the day, if your advertising is going to be successful, you're going to send a great message that's going to resonate with people, just like the ones who are in your tap room yet, but people who've never been to your business. You do that, you've got a winning marketing campaign. Additionally, from a psychographic standpoint, take a look at social media behavior. Take a look at what your followers like and share. Follow them back. Find out what their interests are, their values. What type of lifestyle things are they into that kind of makes them tick? It seems a little stalky, but what you're really trying to do is just get a sense of who they are so you can better serve them and people like them. So it's really something where it's not stalking them as much as it's really learning about them so you can better serve them. You also now want to review certain platforms. And when I say review, the reviews that are on them. See what folks are leaving positively, what people like and don't like. If you're following people, see what they talk about other businesses. You get a better sense of the things they like and dislike, what makes them happy, because what you want to be doing during this process is learning about these folks so that you can find more like them, but additionally learning about these folks so you can better serve them in your business. Always get an idea what folks' preferences and behaviors, hobbies, what their goals and challenges are, what they value, and what their spending habits are. This allows you to do certain things where you can tie into the community as a large, and at the same time, better serve your customer base and find more folks like them. For instance, you might find out that a bunch of your regulars are softball players. Sponsor a softball team. Offer a discount on pitchers and food after softball games. Wear your uniform to see us. See how these things all integrate. It's like different pieces of the puzzle coming together. Additionally, in your marketplace, find out where your customers hang out online, and you want to go and hang out there as well. This gives you a better sense of who they are and what they want. Last, under the psychographics, take a look at competitive analysis. That means going to your competitors, get a sense of what they do. When I say go there, I would encourage you to go there physically. Additionally, I encourage you to follow them on social media, go to their sites. If you want to set up kind of a burner account to do that, that's up to you. I don't know that it's bad to follow your competitors, but you do want to get on there and see what they're doing well to resonate with folks, where they might be missing. And obviously, when you see places where they're missing, now, of course, what you can do is fill that gap. So you've got now really 4 different pieces that make up this whole thing. From your community situation, you've got the community demographics and psychographics. And from a customer standpoint, folks that you're already doing business with, you have demographics and psychographics. So now that you put all of this together, you have a customer persona, which means you have a real sense of who your ideal customer is. You also have an idea of how many of those folks exist in your marketplace. You'd also want to look at some situations where there's groups that my message and my products should be resonating with, but it's not. And ask yourself why. That creates an opportunity for a subsegment of your marketplace to target and advertise towards. There is CRM software. I wouldn't say that's something you necessarily have to have if you wanted to do that. The main thing from a software standpoint that I stress about this is tied to your email software, because what you want to be able to do is collect emails. You want to segment them, and you may segment by certain demographics or psychographics. Additionally, things like different type of products that you sell that they like. But that segmentation allows you to better market to them going forward. And what's super about, of course, email marketing is it doesn't cost anything. So this is how you put all of this together and put it to work in your business. And I think in 2025, it's going to be super important. So that's the way you understand who your customers are. So going forward, you can target everything from messaging to advertising dollars and marketing dollars spent to make sure you're reaching the people who want and should want to come into your business. Now, are you going to put this going forward into 2025? I hope so. Put a little work in now. Spend a couple of hours. Do it today, if not today, tomorrow. Put this into play, do this bit of work, and it will pay off going forward for you. I really do promise it. And remember, if you've not yet done so, go ahead, put send down below. I'll make sure you get a copy of my entire playbook for 2025 because I want to put that in your hands, because let's make 2025 the best year ever. I'm here to help you guys out and make that happen. So cheers. Here's to your success.